Just your average weekday here, so of course, another mass shooting in America. One that barely getting any coverage other than local news and a couple minutes on cable news. This morning in Cincinnati, a gunman opened fire, I think right at Fifth Third Bank, killed 3 innocent people, and had, I believe, over 100 rounds of ammunition. 3 people dead. Pretty much zero coverage of another mass shooting. The choice, covering a mass shooting in Cincinnati where a gunman killed 3 innocent people, versus who wrote the Trump piece? Who wrote the anonymous piece on the New York Times saying Trump is immoral? Mass shooting? Who done it? The media coverage now is like that book Clue. It was this person in the parlor with the poker stick. It's shameful. Let me read you exactly what happened in Cincinnati, so we're all clear what's going on here. 4 people, including the gunman, are dead following what police called an active shooter situation in downtown Cincinnati. It happened around 9 a.m. Thursday at Fifth Third Center on Walnut Street, a 30-story building that's home to regional banker Fifth Third Bancorp and other businesses. Police said the gunman, identified as Omar Enrique Perez, 29, entered the building through a loading dock and made his way to the lobby of the office building. Perez shot 5 people. 3 people were killed by the gunman, officials said. The victims have been identified, and apologies to the deceased if I mispronounce the names. The victims have been identified as Prithvi Raj Kandepe, Richard Newcomer, and Luis Felipe Calderon, according to the Hamilton County coroner. 2 others were wounded. Perez was confronted by 4 Cincinnati police officers inside the building, officials said, and a shootout commenced. Perez was killed in the shootout, Cincinnati Police Chief Elliot Isaac said. Isaac also said the shooter acted alone and there is no further threat to the public. Until tomorrow, right? No officers were injured in the incident and Perez's motives remain unclear. Police confirm that Perez was not a current or former employee of the bank. Quote, "This could have been a bloodbath beyond imagination," Hamilton County Prosecutor Joe Dieters said. "It could have been a lot worse. People in this town should just thank a cop when they see them because what they did today was just unbelievable," he said. Isaac said that Perez had 1 weapon on him, a 9mm semi-automatic pistol, and had several hundred rounds of ammunition. Let me repeat, several hundred rounds of ammunition. It appears the gun was purchased legally. Dieters said that several officers fired through the glass of the building in an attempt to thwart an active shooter situation. Officials with the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office confirmed they are searching the apartment of the now dead gunman in North Bend, Ohio, a sleepy riverside community of Cincinnati's west side. The chaos unfolded alongside Fountain Square, the heavily trafficked park at the city's center. Witnesses heard more than a dozen gunshots ring out as they walked to work during the morning rush. Several nearby buildings were placed on lockdown as the situation unfolded. SWAT teams swept several of those buildings to ensure safety and to search for possible additional victims. Senator Rob Portman has released a brief statement. I ain't even going to read it because he doesn't care about mass violence because he votes against stronger background checks. I'm not reading Rob Portman's statement. Officials with Third Bank released a statement in the wake of the shooting saying in part, "Our thoughts and prayers, blah, 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 blah." I want to get... There's a quote that I read earlier. Let me find it. "This is not normal, and it shouldn't be viewed as normal. This is abnormal. No other industrialized country has this level of active multiple shootings on a regular basis," Mayor John Cranley said in a news conference. "I think there's something deeply sick at work here." The University of Cincinnati Medical Center received victims with gunshot wounds, a woman and 3 men, said Kelly Martin, Senior Director of UC Health. 2 died and 1 is in critical condition. Quote, I heard about 8 gunshots and I actually got on my knees. I kind of got down on the ground and then all the cops started coming. Witness James Walker. I'm still shaking. So, here's John Kasich, the governor. There was a senseless act of gun violence on the streets of Cincinnati this morning. I've spoken with the mayor. I don't care what he has to say because he also is bought off by the NRA. So, I got to be honest with you. As numb as you guys are to constantly seeing this day by day, and again, press the share button, get this out to as many people as you can. As numb as you all are of seeing this and hearing this, that is how numb I am of having to report this. It's kind of difficult to have something new or unique to say about mass shootings that pretty much happen once a week, sometimes twice a week. This time at a bank, another time at a mall, another time at a concert, school after school. It doesn't stop. You could say, oh, mental health, the conservatives and the thoughts and prayers warriors. But there's a common thing happening here. Do you see on your Twitter, do you see anywhere reports, 5 dead, 10 dead, 17 dead from stabbings? Do you see weekly massacres with, poker sticks? And press the share button on YouTube. It's getting suppressed as usual, this feed. Do you see on your Twitter feed, do you see in the news once a week or twice a week, massacre by super soaker? I mean, at some point, the people are going to have to revolt in order to save their lives and their children's lives. Because at this point, no one is safe. And it's been that way for a while. And by the way, the media is allowing it. The media has allowed this to be normalized. That's why I've led tonight's live stream with this story, which isn't a sexy story, which isn't going to get me clicks like starting with Trump would. But the reason this keeps happening, not the only reason, but a major reason, is because we have a media in this country, CNN, for example, who thinks it's just okay to write an article on it. Move on. Who just thinks it's now commonplace, it's normal. That week after week, sometimes multiple times a week, people just get blown up, get shot dead, get massacred. That's the price of freedom, right? That's the price of the Second Amendment. Why did this guy have hundreds of rounds of ammunition? Why is it that in America, you could buy a gun with no psychiatric evaluation whatsoever? You could go buy a gun tomorrow. No one's going to check your mental health history. Half the time, you could buy a gun at a gun show. No one's checking anything. They say in the story, this guy bought his gun legally. Okay. Then we need to change the laws. Then we need to help weed out people that are mentally unstable or racist or Islamophobic. But the common denominator is there are more guns in supply than citizens in this country. And we're not doing a damn thing about it. Not a damn thing. I can't even count the amount of times that I've been, wake up in the morning, about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. I start tweeting or researching for stories or calling sources. And then all of a sudden I see something trending. Shooting. It's now weekly. And I really don't want to hear about Chicago because I went to cover Chicago. The problem in Chicago is not too many guns. The problem in Chicago is economic oppression. second-class citizenship to black people. Actually, third-class citizenship. The problem in America, it's the guns. You are not going to eradicate mental illness in this country or any other country. It's not something you could totally, cease to exist. As long as the human brain is complicated, as long as the human brain has weaknesses, you're going to have people that want to do bad things. But we can do something to make sure either the mentally ill, the racist, the Islamophobic, whatever it is, mentally unstable people do not have easy access to guns or hundreds of rounds of ammunition. When I read the report, the police officer said this could have been a bloodbath. And by the way, there's a lot of times where I take on the police. In this particular instance, you have to applaud the police. It seems like they stopped him from killing a lot more people and put their lives on the line. So not every police officer is terrible. Not every police officer is racist, and they do, day in and day out, put their lives on the line. We have to weed out bad police. We have to weed out racist police. We have to weed out police that are way, way too trigger happy. But in this particular case, they probably did save tens and dozens of lives. But these three people are now dead. I don't know the gunman's motive. It hasn't been reported yet. Who knows? Maybe he was going after an ex-girlfriend or an ex-boyfriend. Who knows? Maybe he was upset about something on television or something going on in the United States. Who knows? But what I do know is, Bernie talks, we are the only country that does not provide health care for its citizens. We're also the only country that allows its citizens to be massacred on a weekly basis. We're the only country where that is actually normal. And that's dangerous. Because for any of you watching right now, sometimes I even think about this. Sometimes, for some reason, I wake up in the morning and I say, oh, you know what? Today could be my last day. I know that's morbid, but sometimes the thought enters my mind. Today, something could happen. But it's no longer like accidents could happen. It's no longer like, well, today I could, accidentally get in a car accident, or I could accidentally fall down and hurt myself, or accidentally. It's now, I could go somewhere and just be at the wrong place at the wrong time and be shot out in the wild, wild west that is America. There's no media that's going to ask Ohio politicians tonight, what's your stance on gun control? What's your stance on background checks? What's your stance on people purchasing guns needing mental health checks? No one's going to be challenged, not by the national media and not by the local media. And then the dangerous loop is just going to continue and continue and continue. All I can do is report this and continue to stay on it. Part of the GoFundMe that we're going to be launching is telling you what specific stories we want to go cover in the field and how much money we need to go do that. And one of the stories I want to cover is following up on these massacres. Parkland, Newtown, as many as we could afford to go cover and to talk to the families who have lost children, to put a face to this. All the cameras go down for 2 or 3 days when it happens, and then you never hear about it again. We need to show the victims, the living victims, which are the family and friends. We need to challenge the politicians on the local level that are doing nothing to stop this. And that's what I'd like to do, where Ty and I could go and cover not even the new ones, but the old ones. It's hard to keep up with how many mass shootings there are.